Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Good evening everybody, Militia Man and Crew. It is June 4th and just want to jump in. Hey, you guys remember that it's been many months, been a long time that we've heard anything about talk about the World Trade Organization, but they're doing it again. And I don't think that's a coincidence. It's obvious that Iraq is pushing to go and integrate into the international financial system. Obviously, for trade, global trade, we have the TIR system that's out there. They have a session for that. They've done their testing. They're moving vehicles, trucks. They're monitoring all those things, doing it just like they planned. All of this is coming together, I think, quite beautifully. So anyway, this article says Iraq has made significant progress towards joining the World Trade Organization. It says the national team responsible for completing accession requirements has completed answering more than 450 questions. That sounds like they got grilled as far as I could tell. They're talking about technical questions that were submitted by the organization's members. They reflect Iraq's serious commitment and transparency in addressing the requirements of this important international process. I don't think they would not take it seriously. But anyway, it says the national team is fully prepared for the next round of meetings with the organization's General Secretariat and members of the working groups, and will represent Iraq with a unified position based on economic vision and that seeks disciplined integration. Another one of those times where they use the word. Integration into the global economy. The accession to the World Trade Organization constitutes a strategic step to support the business environment, stimulate investment, develop product sectors, productive sectors, specialty industry, industrial, agricultural issues. Basically, what are they doing? They're enhancing Iraq's economic position regionally and again, internationally. So the integration of the global financial system is what Iraq and the region has been working on and working towards. I think it's quite evident that we've known about that for quite a long time. But the fascinating thing is they are talking about it as of yesterday. The integration, to me, is basically something that's inevitable. Look, they answered, what, 450 questions? Yeah, it's inevitable as far as I could tell. Don't know when, but it's inevitable. Okay, and here's an interesting thing too, is that this is the first response that we've heard from the Kurdistan region. Basically, that are talking about the first Kurdish response to the coordination framework call to pass the oil and gas law. So this is the first time that they've said, that's what they're stating in the news, the first time. So it says to pass the oil and gas law represents a good step towards resolving many of the problems between the federal government, the Kurdistan regional government. They've been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I have to say, it's almost like they're just using this information for placating because they know specifically that they have to have a valuation for oil and gas law, and they need to have that done. No different than the people that are doing the contracts for oil and going through Turkey. I think that, you know, these United States being involved with the HKN and West Agros, I'm fairly certain that that's, what, 2 years that they haven't pumped oil out of there, and they've lost probably, what, 23, 24, maybe even $25 billion. We all know that there's a reason for that. It's obvious. We haven't seen the salaries done yet. We haven't seen the oil go flowing yet. And we haven't seen the 23, 24 budget schedules yet. So keep that in mind. What the coordination framework emphasized during its meeting yesterday regarding the necessity of passing the oil and gas law is a positive step towards resolving many of the differences between the central government and the region, and it will have a positive impact. Yeah, it'll have a positive impact because the citizens are going to get their rights, and the oil's going to flow, and people are going to make money. So that impact basically is going to be on the state and in general, not only on the relationship between Baghdad and Erbil. So it seems like they're trying to get that unification, just like the salaries. They want the unification to play by the rules, go by the Constitution, and get the salaries paid. They're talking about the oil and gas law. It's going to be to get the citizens' rights. And it's also going to create revenue streams for the Unified Treasury Account. Basically, it says that despite the limited time, so there's an urgency, the passage of the law is possible if there's a genuine will among the parties, especially since all Kurdish forces support resolving this problem that reoccurs from time to time. This will also expedite the approval of the annual budgets smoothly, without problems that hinder the adoption of the beginning of each year. So they know that the oil and gas law needs to be resolved. And effectively, what is it? Change your exchange rate, give the valuation, cost of extraction of oil, and get it done. And so, okay, are they waiting for that exchange rate to happen? That interconnectivity with all the other regional countries and everybody at the same time? I would suspect yes. It says the attendees emphasized that the enactment of the oil and gas law in the House of Representatives is the core to the solution to end the outstanding issues between Baghdad and Erbil. Well, the Parliament's not going to get anything from the 23-24 budget probably because they haven't exposed the budget tables yet to them. And they're not going to probably until they do what we hope for. And hopefully that's the interconnectivity that is to be expected in a digital system, which is going to interconnect all the different countries, all the regional countries. I mean, they're going to be doing trade from all the regional countries and then into Europe. And you see the likes of who have been giving the approval: the IMF, the World Bank, United States Treasury, U.S. Federal Reserve, the EBRD, the European Bank of Reconstruction Development, and et cetera. So obviously, everybody's got the approval. We've already been over this, the Arab League approval. You even got the Parliamentary Finance Committee approval. You see what I mean? So if it's not about Iraq, like I've always said, it is about Iraq, but it's not all about Iraq. And so timing, and we'll leave it at there. This is my view, is that the first response from the framework is an interesting concept. Okay, it is in support of the oil and gas law. Okay, so they go on and say that, well, in my view, is that the corruption and their greed, their cash cow is over, and they probably realize that by now. And integration into the international financial system is inevitable, and it's a transparent one, and they're probably just not going to be able to make the money that they thought they could forever. And that's why you probably see a lot of blowback from the media and elsewhere. So keep that in mind, because look, the politicians that have been, if they have been found to be a hindrance, I think before the elections they'll probably have some problems, and now they're probably on board, realizing that they better be on board with the unification of the salaries, getting the oil taken care of. The Kurds probably would be wise to do so, to be ready to go. That's where I think. Here's an article. It's called "The Full Decisions of the Council of Ministers Session." I don't know if you guys see this, but I do, and I see it in a different light than maybe people don't dig in sometimes, and that's okay. But sometimes I get stuff that I like, and I can't stop thinking about it and go, wait a minute, who is this person, or who is this entity, or why are they using integration and commitment, and why are they using those buzzwords? And that's why I do what I do, and that's why I bring you guys a lot of information. It's my opinion, of course, but this is an interesting article because it talks about the Council of Ministers decided to launch an amount of 3 trillion dinars allocated for the Ministry of Finance to finance the dues of investment projects. Finance investment projects. Now think about that for a minute. Isn't the 2023, 2024, 2025 budget have an operational side and an investment side? And we haven't seen the investment side just yet. Okay, so, but that's what we're waiting for. That's how I see it. Okay, in the oil sector, the recommendation of the sovereign guarantees. You guys realize sovereign guarantees are a stimulus to investors. They're talking about a specific oil field in Basra, and they're saying it was approved. I think it's called the Ben Omar field. Okay, it says, based on the outputs of the Foreign Minister's visit to the Ministry of Justice last May, so just about a month ago, the council approved the inclusion of the Ministry of Justice digital transformation. So they're talking about the Ministry of Justice digital transformation. Isn't that what we've been talking about? They're talking about their government, they're talking about the legal side, they're talking about the banking, financial side, digital transformation, okay? And it says here, the digital transformation project in the ministry investment budget schedules for 2025. That's fascinating, but check this out. It says international companies are contracted, approved, and classified. So the international companies are contracted, approved, and classified within the Gartner International Foundation indicators. I don't know if anybody did any research on that, but who is the International Foundation? And why do they give out indicators? Well, they do it for many reasons. Okay, but it goes on here. It says there was an amendment, paragraph number 2 of the Council of Ministers resolution for 336 of 2025 was approved. So they approved the finance portion of it. So that's about investment money, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and concerning what is it approved? It says it's concerning the construction of complexes for judicial departments of the Ministry of Justice and on the land allocated to them through investment. So it's about money, okay? Investment money. And they're invoking this budget schedules. So it's obviously very serious. The Council of Ministers on June 5th, 2025, chaired by the Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, specifically to the decision regarding the Ministry of Justice's digital transformation project, which involves international companies approved and classified within the Gartner International Foundation indicators. I would look that up. Gartner International Foundation indicators. The Council of Ministers approved the inclusion of the Ministry of Justice digital transformation project in its investment budget schedules. And the following visits to the ministry in May of 2025. That's what they did back in May. The project involves contracting international companies that are approved and classified. So in other words, they're going to be classified with, I guess, this Gartner. And again, it's called the Gartner International Foundations indicators. Okay. It says what is likely, to me, what is likely, not saying it is, but it's what is likely, this refers to Gartner's vendor evaluation methodologies. And they have things called the Magic Quadrant or critical capabilities. And what is it used for? It's used to select and classify international IT companies for the project. The minister's meetings on the government activities seems to be focused on advancing Iraq's digital transformation agenda, which they lead into, which is consistent with the prior government priorities. That's what al-Sudani has been all about. And it says also it's one of which the Ministers of Justice project. That's just one of his projects. So in this context, the Minister of Justice project, right, Gartner's role in IT vendor evaluation basically is the likelihood that the meeting focused on advancing Iraq's digital transformation agenda, consistent with the prior government's priorities. And so let's see how this plays out. But it also suggests that they're to formalize the digital transformation project within ministry's investment budget for 2025. And what that would assume, would be an assessment of the ministry's needs for digitization, such as modernization of the judicial records, case management systems, or public access to legal services. And we've got to remember, thinking about IT, thinking about digital technology, to digital transformation. This is big data. The approval suggests that the project has moved from planning to implementation. So they went from planning to implementation with budget allocation and contractor selection. So in other words, they have the money and then they have the contractors who are going to do the work. And you're going to probably read that or hear that That takes commitment. And we've seen and heard those words recently, commitment. We're talking about money, commitment to money. That could be over long periods of time. In other words, if they have contracts, they can last a long time. They can last months, years. So anyway, it says the project aims to integrate digital technologies into the Ministry of Justice operations with al-Sudani's commitment to comprehensive digitalization across Iraq's public sector. Okay, so again, what are they talking about? They're digitizing court records, case management. They're implementing e-justice platform, enhancing cybersecurity for sensitive judicial data, highly important. And basically, at the end of the day, the project's inclusion in the investment budget schedules indicates, quote, significant financial commitment, likely involving multi-year funding to support infrastructure, support software, and training. That's fascinating when they're using training. So there's contracts out there for making sure everybody knows what they're doing. Okay, so Gartner International Foundation indicators. Basically, when they reference that, they're talking about what they have done and are approved and classified within those indicators. Okay, it suggests that the methodologies to evaluate and select vendors for the projects, they're going to be approved by this company, Gartner International Foundation. Okay, so basically what it is that it's like this. Companies like that are global IT companies, consulting firms, expertise in digital transformation, for instance, companies like IBM, Accenture, Microsoft, Oracle, which are all frequently ranked on Gartner's reports for the government IT solutions. So again, approval classification for the companies. Basically, they were probably whoever's going to be doing Iraq's work, whether it be Oracle or someone else, they're basically have rankings from this company. And so al-Sudani's probably been able to pick and choose from a company, not necessarily one of those companies, but companies that fit within those parameters. It says here, al-Sudani has prioritized digital transformation as a cornerstone of national development, emphasizing improved public services, anti-corruption measures, and economic modernization. So the Ministry of Justice project fits into the agenda by enhancing judicial efficiency, transparency, governance, and reforms. Doesn't that all sound like the banking, financial, e-government, e-banking? You get this. I think you get the picture. So ultimately, what is the project doing, what they're working on? It supports integration into the global economy. A recurring theme is basically related to what? Financial reforms. We know that we've talked about the digital dinar in the past. We talked about international partnerships, public-private. We've talked about all those. All of that is a component of it. Whether they state it in brief every day, they don't. But we all know that you can. Those things are a takeaway from all the information that you can find out on the web. What is the geopolitical side? A lot of people are concerned about, whether it's Russia and Ukraine, or if it's Lebanon, or if it's, whether it's Yemen in the past, all those different things. But anyway, the involvement of international companies apparently looks to reflect on al-Sudani's balance between Western United States, regional, local countries, and Iranian influences. All of this seems as a diplomatic engagements by al-Sudani. And again, we're talking about the U.S., the United Kingdom, Qatar, for instance, okay? What is their ability to execute something like this? Well, the track record in delivering solutions effectively, these frameworks are widely used by governments globally to select technology partners for digital transformation, ensuring that the Ministry of Justice project leverages proven expertise. So the company has a proven expertise. Remember what I just mentioned a minute ago, or a little bit ago? It is talking about training. That's part of the budget. That's what some of the things that they spend the money on. And here, the central bank signs a training agreement with the British Council. I just mentioned the United States, the UK, Qatar. The list might go on and on. okay? But here it says, Ali Moshan Alak, he says the Central Bank of Iraq signed a training cooperation agreement between the bank and the British Council in the presence of the British ambassador to Iraq. It says that the British Council, and they were with also the British Council and the Qatari director of the British Council. Basically, what are they talking about? This agreement comes within the framework of enhancing cooperation between all these sides, developing capabilities of the Central Bank of Iraq, employees in the field of English to be able to communicate globally, through organizing special training courses in cooperation with the British Council, which contributes to raising language proficiency and enhancing professional communication at the regional and international levels. So all of those little bits and pieces that I gave you kind of quickly tonight are basically talking about integration into the global economy, whether it's the legal side, the financial side, the banking side, and the trade side. We talked about the WTO. Iraq was grilled 450 questions. You put all that together and you're just like, whoa, these guys are really gearing to integrate into the international world. Are they going to do it at 1310? Well, if they were going to, why didn't they do that 2 years ago or back in 2018? We don't know. But the bottom line is they probably weren't going to, because it just wouldn't work. Anyway, that's just my view. I hope you guys like my content. Please do me a favor. If you like my content, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. And thanks again for all your help, donations, PayPal, Venmo, and Zelle. Do wonders for us. Thank you very much. Keep these wheels greased up. Thank you. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.